Hello my dear students, I'm Miss Batul Masood. In this video, we're going to revise lesson 2, what are some other simple machines. In the previous video, we have revised the lever machine, the wheel and axle, and the pulley machine. In this video, we're going to revise the inclined plane, the wedge, and the screw. The inclined plane. Plane is a flat object. An inclined plane is a plane that is slanted. Slanted means that one end is higher than the other. So one end is higher than the other. This makes it easier to lift a load. Instead of lifting the load straight up all at once, you push or pull it up the inclined plane little by little. This spreads the work over a distance. Because of this, you are able to use less force. A wedge is two inclined planes placed back to back. One edge is sharp and pointed, and the other is wide and flat. If you apply force to the flat edge, the pointed edge can split one thing into two things. The sharp edge opens a tiny crack, and the inclined planes on either side push outward, widening the crack. The sharper the wedge is, the less effort is needed to get the work done. Now, screw. A screw is an inclined plane wrapped around a shaft or a cylinder. The thread around the screw is an inclined plane. This inclined plane is not straight like a ramp, it spirals around the screw. The inclined plane on the screw pulls it into the wood. The threads also make it hard to pull the screw out of the wood. A screw moves around and around as it goes in. As a result, it takes longer to insert a screw into the wood than it does a nail. But you use less force to get the screw into the wood. The closer together the threads are, the easier it is to turn the screw. Now let's go to our science book, the physical science book, on page 418. Moving up, digging in. A plane is a flat object such as a board. An inclined plane is a plane that is slanted so that one end is higher than the other. This makes it easier to lift a load. Instead of lifting the load straight up all at once, you push or pull it up the inclined plane little by little. This spreads the work over a distance. Because of this, you're able to use less force. So you apply a smaller force over a greater distance. You apply a smaller force over a greater distance. Now a wedge is two inclined planes placed back to back. One edge is sharp and pointed, the other is wide and flat. If you apply force to the flat edge, the pointed edge can split one thing into two things. So here you have to know that we apply the force on the flat edge and we use the wedge machine to split one thing into two things. So why do we use it? To split one thing into two things. You also have to know that the sharper the knife is, the less effort is needed to get the work done. All wrapped up. A screwdriver is a wheel and axle. It uses circular motion to make work easier. The tip of the screwdriver fits into the slot of the top of a screw. A screw is an inclined plane that wrapped around a shaft or a cylinder. When you turn the screwdriver's handle, this shaft works like an axle to turn the screw. A screwdriver does not just turn the screw like other wheel and axles. The screwdriver takes your effort and increases that effort as it turns the screw. As the screwdriver turns the screw, the inclined plane of the screw pulls it into the wood. The threads also make it hard to pull the screw out of the wood. So if we want to pull it out of the wood, we need to use the screwdriver in the opposite direction to get it out of the wood. And the thread around the screw is an inclined plane. This inclined plane is not straight like a ramp, it spirals around the screw. Unlike a nail, which goes straight into the wood, a screw moves around and around as it goes in. As a result, it takes longer to insert a screw into the wood than it does a nail. but you use less force or effort to get the screw into the wood. So the closer together the threads are, the easier it is to turn the screw. The closer together the threads are, the easier it is to turn the screw. Another example of a screw is the ice auger. As he turns the handle, the auger pulls the ice beneath it up to the surface. This ice is the load. As it moves up, a hole is made in the ice. So the screw and the ice auger, or the screw machine, is used to make holes. It's used to make holes. Circle the screw in each picture. How does the screw help to do work? The screw lets you use less effort or less force to make holes in both the ice and in the wood. How can simple machines work together? When simple machines work together, it makes a compound machine. So a compound machine is a machine made up of two or more simple machines. So it's made up of two or more simple machines. Simple machines that we have learned about are lever, inclined plane, screw, wedge, wheel and axle, and pulley. The lever uses force at one end to move a load at the other end. The inclined plane, it lets you lift a load using a smaller force over a greater distance. So it spreads the work over a distance. Screw, it uses an inclined plane wrapped around a post to move things up. The wedge is two inclined planes placed back to back. So it makes one edge is sharp and pointed and the other is wide and flat. When we apply the force on the flat edge, the pointed edge can split one thing into two things. So it's used to split one thing into two pieces. The wheel and axle, it uses circular motion to increase force. So as we turn the wheel, the axle will turn in a greater force. The last one is the pulley. It uses a wheel and rope to change the size or the direction of a force. So it changes the direction of a force. Simple and compound machines. Look at the photos on this page and tell which simple machines make up each compound machine. So we have two compound machines here. The shovel, its base is a wedge and the handle is a lever. The hoe, the bottom edge is a wedge and the handle is a lever. Why it matters using machines. The dustpan is a simple machine and it's inclined plane. The faucet is a simple machine and it's a wheel and axle. The paper cutter is a compound machine. It has a wedge because it splits one thing into two pieces. And it's a lever because it's a bar. We apply the force on one end to cut the load and it has a fulcrum here. The pencil sharpener, the part that we can see is a wheel and axle. So we will write simple and it's wheel and axle because it's the shown part here. But inside this pencil sharpener, there's a wedge. Write whether each machine is simple or compound. If it's simple, identify the type of simple machine it is. If it's compound, identify the simple machines it's made from. The first one is scissors. Scissors, compound machine because it has two levers and two wedges. Number 2, hatchet. It's also a compound machine. It has a wedge and it looks like a bar that turns on a fixed point. The fulcrum will be our other hand. The screwdriver is a simple machine. It's a wheel and axle. The faucet is a simple machine. It's a wheel and axle. Pliers is a compound machine because it has two levers. Now use the words in the box to complete the two concept webs about machines. We have simple machine and compound machine. Simple machine, compound machine. The screw is a simple machine. The wedge is also a simple machine. The inclined plane simple machine. The paper cutter is a compound machine because it's made up of a wedge and lever. The screwdriver is a simple machine. Scissors, compound machine because it has 2 levers and 2 wedges. The bicycle is a compound machine. Rake is a simple machine. Now the last question, question number 2, page 428. Identify each simple machine and tell how you could use it. The first one is an inclined plane. It's used to move heavy boxes into a moving truck. Number 2 is a wedge. It's used to split one thing into 2 pieces. Number 3 is a screw. It's used to make holes. In this video, we have revised the 3 other simple machines that we have learned about: the inclined plane, the wedge, and the screw. I hope it was clear. And if you still have any questions, you can contact me on the Microsoft Teams. Thank you for watching.